The story of Christ's birth, as we have it from Luke, is well loved by us. It is an important story of our faith, and we gather around at time of Christmas to hear this story again. We're reminded in Luke that the setting for his story of the Nativity takes place in a climate of genuine threat and genuine courage. Because in the face of a corrupted civil authority, in the face of Roman imperialism, the Gospel of Luke presents a dangerous story to Jesus, Joseph, and Mary. However, what we learn, ultimately, is that Luke's story is beautifully subversive. Because it is not the oppressed that are in danger, but those rather with the social power who would do the oppressing. It's a dangerous gospel because it is the story of a God that is not especially comfortable or especially comforting, because he comes to challenge and invade the human world in the form of a humble child. He is ultimately the light of love incarnate. Now, in the reign of the Emperor Caesar Augustus, we usually date that from about 27 BC to his death in 14 AD. During that time, under Augustus, Rome achieved great glory because he restored peace after 100 years of civil war. He maintained an honest government and a sound currency system. Under Augustus, they extended the highway system connecting Rome with its very far-flung empire and developed an efficient postal service. Under Augustus, he fostered free trade among the provinces and built bridges, aqueducts, and buildings adorned with beautiful works of art. Also, literature flourished with writers that included Virgil, Horace, Ovid, all living under the emperor's patronage. And the empire expanded under Augustus, with his generals eventually through war subduing Spain, Gaul, Pannonia, and Dalmatia. He annexed Egypt and most of southwestern Europe to the Danube. After his death, the people of the Roman Empire worshipped Augustus in temples that were dedicated to him. In Greek inscriptions, Augustus is called Savior and God and King of Peace, because he was understood to have ushered in a time of peace known as the Pax Augusta. Throughout the Roman world, they worshiped him for this. And yet, it is no accident that Luke relates the birth of Jesus to the time of Caesar Augustus and names Jesus as the Savior, the peace bearer, the one who has come to bring the world to unity. Luke sets this up quite intentionally, diametrically imposing the birth of Jesus with the tyranny of Caesar Augustus. The essential and yet radical message in Luke's narrative is contained in the angel's announcement to the common shepherds, not to the elite, but to the common shepherds, that this child is their Savior, their Messiah, and their true Lord. Luke is the only synoptic gospel writer to use the title Savior for Jesus. And as a Savior, Jesus is looked upon by Luke as the one who rescues humanity from the condition of a perpetual social and spiritual alienation, both from God and from one another. For Luke, to say, "On earth let there be peace," is to speak to the radical nature of human relationship that is necessary in order to discover and preserve that peace. It is more than the absence of war. It is a mutual commitment to one another. Because here is a different kind of Son of God and a different kind of peace than even society at the time wanted. Luke presents a peace that subverts common human value systems. It challenges both the empire and the religious systems of their time, all of them. For Luke, a counter-savior is born, a counter-son of God, to Rome's great emperor, bringing a counter-peace that challenges the oppression of the status quo based in violence, that establishes a counter-people who seek justice and mercy through the exercise of love. Luke encapsulates the meaning of Jesus' entire ministry with the image of a nativity, a time when a child is born, when God, through this most unlooked for and most unimagined simple entrance into the midst of humankind, where no one is written off, no one is despised, no one is too strange or too bad or too inhuman. For Luke, all of creation is included in the images of nativity of animals and stars, in the kind of expansive relationship and universal salvation that isn't just for the few, but for all. In Jesus, we celebrate the intimate encounter between the Creator and His creation, such that even the stars, the cosmos, is involved. Even the animals find salvation. Creation finds salvation in the human and divine compassion of Christ, which His followers are meant to emulate by cultivating the life-giving nurture of creation. C.S. Lewis has written, all that we call human history of money, poverty, ambition, war, prostitution, classes, the elites, empires, slavery. It is the long and terrible story of man trying to find something other than God to make him happy. God comes to us this night. God comes to us this night. Wherever you are, God comes to you this night. And in every moment in which we turn our ear to the silence to listen for God's story. The message of the angels is this: we are loved without condition. Our life is worth the greatest love that God has to give in response to the human longing of the soul for God. For only in souls is Christ brought to birth, and there He lives and dies and rises again in all that passes between peoples and nations. It is a story far too big for a simple manger, too big for one people or one country or religion to contain. It is too big even for this world, but expands as light does through the cosmos. And so with the shepherds, let us, with the ears of our eternally creative soul, listen and believe in the beating wings of angels over Bethlehem. That is our heart where Christ is born, a flutter, the love within us. Let us recognize that we carry a light that is not of the sun or the stars, yet shines in the darkness of our fragile and troubled world. Let us be that light. Let the grace of the story of Christ's birth take away all narrow conditions or doctrines or social judgments or thoughts of formal creeds and beliefs that would only serve to separate us rather than to gather us together. Let it be remembered as a story that has happened again and again to people of many different races, that has been expressed through many religions, and that has been called by many different names. But the reality of the truth is that the light bringer comes to all. Let time and space and language lay no limitations upon our regard for one another and for all that God has made. Tonight, let our hearts be as transparent as God's, and love one another and ourselves with that same unconditional grace. That is the gift of the manger. Let us not love as we think we ought, but as long as we long to know and be known ourselves. For only in this way is the journey from cradle to kingdom made by each of us on this good earth beneath its heavenly stars. Listen for the angel's message. Do not be afraid. There can be and will be peace on earth when we give goodwill to all. These are the only instructions on the box that God has gifted to us. The reality is there is some assembly required. May the light of God's love be born in your life this night and shine without fear or strife in the knowledge that principalities come and go. But God's word is the most powerful and subversive force on earth, happens through us when we love one another. Let us go forth tonight to love and thereby serve the Lord like the very subversive people of faith that Luke reminds us that we really and truly are. For we are born this night, and Christ born through us. Today, tonight, and always, let us speak of love and hope in a dark and troubled world that longs to hear that story. In Christ's name. Amen.